Hey Coyote fans, we're back for another show on the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. The Coyote Volleyball team coming off of a couple of victories to open up Summit League play this past weekend. Not only victories, but road victories, which are always extra sweet. We are joined by the head coach of the Coyote Volleyball team, Leanne Williamson. Coach, your team goes on the road this week, and you knew going into, let's go back to last Thursday, into Denver. Obviously, they were trying to get a bunch of people in attendance for that game, and you know it's always a matchup there, and your team came out firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way we played that match overall. Obviously, still things that we feel like we could have controlled maybe a little bit better, but to be on the road anywhere and to get a win is going to be huge. But to be able to win at Denver and walk away with a sweep was a pretty incredible way to start the weekend.
I know Kylan led the team in kills in that match, but it sure seemed like you had Morgan and Cheyenne who really had all-around good performances.
Yeah, you just continue to see different people step up on different games, and that was one that we feel like we found a couple different matchups, you know, of just what they were trying to do to defend us and how we could take advantage of certain things. But, you know, Shy did both games, honestly, kind of anchored down that right side pin for us, which just opens up other people. So I thought Avery did a good job of getting the right people involved in different moments, and I think it's been fun to watch just how different people are stepping up. And, you know, to go back to Kylan, I thought Kylan looked very confident in both of those matches, but to start off on Thursday, which, again, Denver's a hard place to play. They're a good team, so I was really happy to see that from her.
How important is that to get that? It's a road win, but get a sweep to start Summit League play. Very confidence building for this group.
Absolutely. I think anytime you can walk away, again, especially on a road trip, with a sweep, it's going to be huge. But I want to say it's the first time we've ever swept Denver on their home floor. It's been a tough place for us to play in all the years that they've been a part of the league, and that's a huge win for us. So obviously us as coaches have been around a little bit longer to know that that is a big deal, and to be able to walk away with a sweep is such a momentous thing for us. But our team was obviously very happy, and I do think it helps give confidence, you know, to the team, both as individuals and as the team, to be able to sweep a really good team right off the bat on their home floor is a great start.
We talked last week about, you know, your team has traveled a lot this year. This is a different type of travel. So you kind of wondered the back end of that match, or that road trip, I should say, the second match of the road trip. How would that go? And the team gets it done at Oral Roberts in sweeping fashion.
Absolutely. I mean, when we look at it, we've been on the road for 5 of the last 6 weekends. So it's a lot when you kind of put it all next to each other. And, you know, I kind of felt the same way. How do they respond to that? You know, we play Thursday night. You get up on Friday morning. We have to go to the airport early. We fly in. We have some downtime. Obviously, we had a pretty good practice again. But you just never know how that's going to affect them. And they came out very intentful and I think just ready, firing on all cylinders in a lot of ways. Our serve and pass was really good. And Oral Roberts is a team that had just taken South Dakota State to 5 2 nights before. So we knew we had to be prepared, and, you know, we did our job at a really high level.
I think balance is kind of the key for your team right now, or it's the phrase for your team right now, because your team hasn't really had one player that stepped up above anyone else. It has been somebody each night stepping up, or multiple players, and I think we saw that in both matchups this past week.
Absolutely. I think Saturday was probably even the bigger tell, and it wasn't even the balance and the amount of kills. It was the balance and the amount of attempts. So I think what that shows me is just we were in system a decent amount. We didn't have to utilize our outsides at a high level because we were out of system a lot. You know, we were in system, so we could get our middles involved. We could get Cheyenne involved. And with that, we were balanced with the attempts, which obviously in a lot of ways equated to us being balanced with the amount of kills too. So again, that's a testament to our entire team in different ways, right? That passing battle, we're in system at a good clip, but 2, it's Avery distributing the ball and making sure that we're getting everybody involved. It just makes us a lot more difficult to defend. And not that we haven't had other teams in past years that had moments of this, but we've had some players that did just primarily get more sets than anybody else. And this year we are extremely balanced, and it's a lot of fun to see, and it's a lot of fun to see kind of who can step up on each night. But it also allows us to take advantage of maybe some of the matchups that we can find, whether it's a blocking matchup, a defensive matchup. And I think Cheyenne was probably the one that, not that she hasn't had other big games, but I think she's the one that we really saw take advantage of some of the key matchups this weekend.
We talk about some of that stuff with the balance and some of these players stepping up, but what is your big takeaway from this week, from the start of Summit League play?
I just really like our team's demeanor right now. Obviously there's the volleyball side of things, and there's some stats that I think are really good, but I love how we're attacking every point. I love how we're really looking at going 1-0, and that's obviously been a huge mindset for us in past years, but I think we were kind of able to reset a little bit this season with the amount of newcomers we have, and really be able to just focus on kind of being in the present at a really high clip. And, obviously being able to sweep opponents on their home floor, I think that's a big part of it. So they've stayed in the present. They've stayed very determined. And I love the confidence right now out of our team.
Well, anybody who follows you on social media knows that victories mean ice cream. That's a good deal for the weekend, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they've past years it's been kind of funny that they wouldn't always ask. They'd wait until, maybe I thought of the idea on my own. But right after the win against Oral Roberts, Kylan came up to me with a couple other players lurking behind and said, "So Leanne, 2 sweeps, does that mean ice cream?" And we were like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's go." So we did wait a little bit, but it's obviously a lot of fun to be able to give them something like that, just not to equate to wins, but just a nice little treat for them after working so hard.
They always have to ask those questions with some backup.
Yes, you do. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I know you talked about Avery a little bit here. She's going to join us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show, a player who continues to develop her game, but she's gotten it done this year, not only just setting up other players. She has the Quick Start Classic, had some kills in that matchup. She has been getting on the floors for digs and everything. Seems like a player that's really grown.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year, I think she got herself onto the court a lot for her setting, and I think her demeanor, she's very competitive. But this year, I think you just see her entire game taking that step forward. You mentioned it, obviously the defense. I think the blocking has gotten better. She's not as big as some of our other players, so she's not going to take away as much space, but she's in the right spot right now, which is good to see. And then offensively, I just think she kind of understands the game a little bit better of just when she can score, how to take advantage of it, and she's scoring in different ways. This weekend she turned and hit because she's left-handed into the right back corner. She threw the ball down hard middle. She went towards our the right back, short right back. She's just been moving it around and understanding what works when. So it's a big it's huge for us if she can score points too, especially in some of those two-hitter situations where we only have maybe Morgan and one of our outsides up. It allows her to be offensive as well and make people have to focus on her also. So she's been doing a really good job. I'm excited to see what else she can accomplish here throughout the season.
Coyotes are back home this week for a couple of Summit League matchups. We'll talk to Coach Williamson coming up in just a little bit about those matchups. Up next, Avery Van Hook will join us right here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. We'll talk about her growth as her sophomore season, a Marion, Iowa native. Coming up next, this is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. Great to have you alongside for another show. And this week we're joined by Coyote setter Avery Van Hook. Avery, how are you? How is the season going right now after getting a couple of matches underway in Summit League play?
Oh, I'm good. It's been really fun to finally be back in conference, and we got the long road trip out of the way, which is kind of a blessing, and it's awesome that we get to be home and have 2 wins under our belt in conference.
How different was, your team has spent a lot of time on the road this season. How different was this trip traveling between matches where normally you're just at the same location and all of that? So how different was it? Obviously your team handled it very well, but how different was it?
It's weird going from playing a set the night before, spending the night in a hotel, and then traveling the next day. And, since I've had a season under my belt, I know how it goes, but especially for the freshmen, it can be a weird adjustment. But it also is kind of nice because we have had long road trips for now it's 3 weekends or 2 weekends in a row. So our team handled it really well, going on that long road trip.
You personally have handled it very well. You're coming off of a really great performance at the Quick Start Classic. Earned yourself a Summit League Player of the Week honor for the first time in your career. When that came out and that recognition, what did that mean to you?
It means a lot. I honestly was a little surprised or shocked in a way because you don't really see setters getting recognized for their offense or defense. You don't really see setters getting recognized for any of those awards. So it was kind of a shock when I was told that, but it's such an honor, and it feels really good. And obviously, I couldn't have done it without my team's support. And it was nice because I was 30 minutes away from my home, so it was nice to be able to play in front of all my friends and family again.
Playing close by in Coralville, Iowa, outside of Iowa City, and obviously that tournament really showcased your all-around ability. Obviously, people know you as the setter, and you're going to set up other attacks, but you were able to get kills and a bunch of digs in that tournament. What brings all of that out, or what has allowed your game to evolve to the level that it is now?
Yeah, I've always been an offensive setter, and when they recruited me here, they knew that. But going from club and high school to college, you have to find different ways to score, and now having a full year under my belt, I have figured out those ways to score more. So I'm just more comfortable on the court, and now that preseason's done, where you're playing all the time, it feels like our team is very comfortable with one another, and we get in a flow very easily.
How big was the Avery Van Hook fan club, just being that close to home?
It was, I would say, pretty big. I had filled out a lot of tickets for people, and then some people surprised me coming to our games. And funny enough, on all 3 teams we played, I've played with at least one of the girls on the teams before, so I knew a lot of people on the other team, but also in the crowd. And that's where state volleyball is where we played our tournament. So I've been in that arena before, and I've played there, and I played club, and the gym's right behind the arena. So that area is very, very like home to me. So it was just really fun to be back there.
I believe it's 3 matches this year that you've got more than 50 assists in a match. What has to work to be able to see that total continue to climb? Obviously, you have to make good decisions, and the connection has to be there, but what has allowed that to work this year?
I think all around we're just playing really good. Our defense is super scrappy, and I mean, when we're serve receiving, we're passing pretty high, and my hitters are really confident in themselves, and they're also confident in me to get them a good ball. And so, I mean, I always say I wouldn't get any assists if my hitters didn't get any kills. So at the end of the day, my hitters are putting away balls, and they're taking great swings. And obviously, scouting reports, you can see weaknesses on the other side, and our hitters have taken really good advantage of the weaker defenders on the other side of the net.
Obviously, volleyball play or rally, whatever, it can happen very, very quickly. So you're about to receive the pass. How quickly do you have to make a decision on where you're going to deliver the set?
It depends on a couple of things. I mean, back to scouting, if I know the setter's up, our outsides probably won't have as big as block. It kind of depends on where the pass is taking me, but it also can depend on who's hot that game. And I also have been taught to read the middle on the other side of the net. So if they take a step one way, I'm going to try and set the opposite direction to help my hitters get on one-on-one, and that's when they're the most successful.
What do you still try to work on now and fine-tune for your game that can help this team?
Just consistency to my location. I think now our team knows how we play together, and so I think just staying consistent in my location is going to ultimately give my hitters the best success.
What do you want to see this team continue to grow as a unit, to continue to get better, to keep trying to track down those goals that you guys have set forth for your team?
Yeah, I think we're a really confident team, and sometimes maybe things aren't going our way and we have little dips. So just minimizing those dips and maybe not making them as high and low and trying to just even out our play. And we have done a really, really good job of gaining leads this year. So I think we've talked about it, but one thing we can really focus on is keeping our leads and not letting teams get back into it.
Back home this week, you get St. Thomas on Thursday and then an evening matchup on Saturday against Omaha. Do you like the evening matchups and the build-up for a night game?
Yeah, it could be nice, but it's also like I want to play, especially on Saturdays when we're not at school or anything. It can feel like a long time to wait, but it's also when we get the best attendance. And the SCSC is a great place to play, so I'm just ultimately like so excited to play back at home this week.
I know that you had a tournament with a good crowd in attendance. For those who have not seen your team play in person yet, why should they come out this week and check out Coyote Volleyball?
I'd say we're just so close with each other. I think you can just see how well we play together, and after every point you can just see how tight our huddle is in the middle of the court, and everyone believes in each other, and I think we're just fun. I think we show a lot of energy and we show our emotion, and I think our emotion wears off to the fans, but the fans' energy also wears on to us, and so we don't take having fans in the SCSE for granted at all.
Well, they feed off the energy, so come on out this week for Coyote Volleyball. Avery, thanks for the time. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right, that's Avery Van Hook, the Coyote Setter, joining us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. Coyotes at home on Thursday against St. Thomas, Saturday against Omaha. When we come back, we'll talk to Coach Williamson about those matchups coming up this week. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Welcome back into the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee. You just heard from Avery Van Hook, and now time to take a look ahead for Coyote Volleyballs. The Yotes back home this week. They'll play St. Thomas and Omaha this week in Summit League play. Coach, I know we always try to hype this up, but back in the Sanford Coyote Sports Center, and I know this team, every time you talk to any of these players, they talk about how much they just love the energy of home games in this building.
I mean, absolutely. We feel like we have the best home court advantage in the Summit League. The atmosphere is absolutely incredible, and I think being on the road here for 5 of the last 6 weekends, we've kind of learned what that home court can look like. And I would put ours against a lot of people right now. Our fans are loud, they are engaged, they are a part of the match, and it's a lot of fun to be able to play in front of them and for them.
Well, you get a couple of matches at home this week, and it starts Thursday with St. Thomas, a program that obviously is still relatively new to the Summit League and trying to find their way here in Summit League volleyball.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup for us. I really think that serve and pass battle is going to be a huge part of our success or not as we move forward. But if we can be in system and we're able to use our offensive weapons like we have been able to, I think we're going to be in a really good spot. I think they're better than what they've been. They've had some injuries, some key injuries in the past couple of years. I think they're still kind of figuring out what that best lineup can look like for them. But every single night is going to be a battle in the Summit League. There's not one match that we feel like we can walk in and be 100% confident that we can win. So, we believe we will have success because of the work that we put in, but we know that we're going to have to fight for it.
And then on Saturday, you get Omaha, and they've turned into one of the top-tier teams in the Summit League. Year in and year out, they're competitive.
Yeah, and their record does not show how good they can be. They played an extremely difficult schedule. We felt like ours was pretty challenging, and theirs was just another level to it. So they didn't maybe come away with as many wins as they would like, but they have played and competed against some really, really top teams in the country. So going into that match, it's always a battle. It's always difficult. Nothing is easy about that match in any way, shape, or form. So we're definitely going to be ready for a tough match. Both sides, I think, are going to play at a high level. I think we're both doing some good things. And, offensively, it's going to be kind of fun to see how we both balance each other out.
You know, you bring up the non-conference schedules for teams, and we all know non-conference schedules are far from created equally. Do you go through teams to see kind of how they're scheduling, and maybe that affects your scheduling in the future? Maybe just go through their schedule to understand why they're having success or maybe the lack of success as you get ready to play some of these matchups?
I mean, absolutely. We pay attention to the conference at a pretty high level. One, it's good for our conference to do well, out of conference. But two, I think it's good to understand the type of teams that they're playing and either having success or not having success against. But, anytime we have some downtime, I turn on one of the Summit League matches if somebody else is playing. I think it's just fun to follow along and learn from them over the course of the season too, so that we're as prepared as possible. But we definitely have a pretty good understanding of how different people schedule.
What's your view right now of the Summit League as a whole for volleyball?
I think it's good. I think it's better than what it was last year. I think a lot of, I would say it's only been one weekend, so you have no idea, but the teams that people would expect to be in the top half right now, I think are all better than what we saw last year. So, with that, the people are a little bit older, people have some more experience with it, but I think there's some pretty high level volleyball being played. And every team has something maybe a little bit different that they're good at or known for. And that's the fun part about the scouting and being prepared for the other opponents is just what are those things that we have to combat? What are those things that we have to be prepared for, while obviously still making sure that we're continuing to focus on our side.
A couple of evening matchups this week, 7 o'clock on Thursday, 6 o'clock on Saturday. You used to 7 o'clock or the evening matchups on Thursdays. Saturdays can be afternoon, evening, whatever. Do you like the evening matchup setup?
I don't mind either one. Either one, you just kind of get into your routine. Sometimes it's nice to play a little bit earlier. You don't have the entire day to just sit around and wait, or at least for me to just sit around and wait. But we're good with it. And I think Omaha coming into town on Saturday, playing that evening match is perfect. Hopefully we can get some more people into the building and make it a really good home atmosphere for us.
All right, we'll look forward to it. Have a great week and good luck this week.
Thank you.
That's Leanne Williamson, the head volleyball coach at the University of South Dakota. The Coyotes are home this week. Again, they'll take on St. Thomas Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and it starts against Omaha Saturday at 6 p.m. That's it for us this week. I'm John Thayer. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.